The front door slammed like a gunshot in the quiet Andalusian evening, echoing off the whitewashed walls of the old family villa in Ronda, Spain. Vivian Reyes, 19 and trembling, clutched her worn backpack to her chest as her mother's voice sliced through the dusk. "If you walk out that door loving that girl, don't come back. You're dead to me." Rain began to patter on the terracotta roof, mixing with the hot sting of tears on Vivian's cheeks, but she didn't turn back. Her heart, wild and unbroken, pulled her toward the winding road where Willow waited in the shadows of a fig tree. That was the night Vivian lost her home, her heritage, her everything. Born to a strict Catholic family of Spanish descent who'd fled Franco's shadow for a quieter life in the sun-baked hills of southern Spain, Vivian had grown up under the weight of expectations. Marry well, honor the saints, keep the family name spotless. Her father, a stoic olive farmer with calloused hands and a perpetual squint from the sun, had passed when she was 12, leaving her mother, Elena, to rule the household like a queen in exile. Elena's love was fierce but conditional, forged in the fires of her own youth, whispers of a forbidden romance she'd buried deep to survive. Vivian had always sensed it, that undercurrent of unspoken pain, but she'd never imagined it would mirror her own. Willow Harper was the spark that ignited the blaze. An American exchange student from California, 20 and radiant with the easy confidence of someone who'd grown up chasing waves on Santa Monica beaches, Willow had arrived in Ronda the previous fall for a semester abroad. She was studying literature at a small liberal arts college back home, drawn to Spain's poetic ghosts, Lorca, Garcia Marquez's Echoes in the Wind. With her sun-kissed blonde hair cropped short like a boy's, freckles dusting her nose, and a laugh that bubbled like kava, Willow turned heads in the cobblestone streets. She rented a tiny apartment above a tapas bar, spending her days sketching in the Plaza de Toros, and her nights debating Hemingway over cheap wine. They met by accident or fate depending on how you spun the yarn, at the weekly market in the old town. Vivian, tasked with haggling for fresh lemons and almonds for her mother's endless preserves, had knocked over a basket of figs while dodging a flock of pigeons. The purple fruits rolled like spilled secrets across the flagstones, and there was Willow, dropping to her knees without a second thought, gathering them up with a grin. "Looks like we're in this mess together," she'd said, her blue eyes twinkling under the brim of a faded Dodgers cap. Vivian, flustered and unused to such casual warmth, stammered a thank you in broken English, her cheeks burning hotter than the July sun. From there, it unraveled like a well-worn sombrero. Stolen glances turned to shared coffees at Café Alba, where Willow read aloud from The House of Spirits, and Vivian confessed her secret stash of smuggled Lorca poems, ones her mother deemed too revolutionary. Willow's world was a revelation. Stories of San Francisco's rainbow flags, protests for love without chains, a family that celebrated her queerness with backyard barbecues and pride pins. Vivian, raised on rosaries and reprimands, felt like a bird testing its wings. They talked for hours about dreams. Vivian wanted to paint, to capture the golden light on the Puente Nuevo bridge. Willow yearned to write novels that made hearts ache and heal. But love doesn't bloom in a vacuum. Whispers started in the village. The American girl with the short hair, always lingering too long near the Reyes girl. Elena noticed first, the way Vivian's eyes lit up when she mentioned study group, the late returns from errands. Confrontation came swift as a sirocco wind. "Who's this Willow?" Elena demanded one evening, slamming a pot of gazpacho on the table. Vivian's denial crumbled under her mother's gaze, sharp as a switchblade. The argument escalated in the kitchen, olive oil bottles rattling like accusations. "It's a sin, Mija. A phase. You'll ruin us." But Vivian, voice steady for the first time, whispered, "It's not a phase, Mama. It's me." The door slam was the end. Willow was waiting, her old Fiat sputtering in the rain, headlights cutting through the downpour like hesitant beacons. She didn't ask questions, just opened the passenger door and pulled Vivian inside, wrapping her in a blanket that smelled of sea salt and sage from California. They drove through the night, the Sierra Nevada mountains looming like silent judges, until they reached the coast near Malaga. Willow's aunt owned a small guest house there, a rambling place with bougainvillea-draped walls and rooms that overlooked the Mediterranean. "Stay as long as you need," Willow said, her hand finding Vivian's in the dark. "We're in this together." Those first weeks were a fragile idyll. Mornings spent sketching on the beach, Vivian's charcoal strokes capturing Willow's profile against the crashing waves. Strong jaw, thoughtful brow. The curve of her neck like a question mark. Afternoons tangled in laughter over paella cooked on a hot plate. Willow teaching Vivian surf slang while Vivian schooled her in flamenco rhythms. Nights were for whispers under threadbare sheets. Hands exploring with the tentative wonder of first snow. "I love you," Willow murmured one evening as the sun dipped into the sea, painting the sky in bruised purples. Vivian, heart full to bursting, replied, "Te quiero más que el sol." It felt like salvation, this love, raw, unapologetic, a rebellion wrapped in tenderness. Yet shadows lingered. Vivian called her younger brother Matteo in stolen moments, begging him not to tell their mother where she was. He was 12, torn between loyalty and fear, his voice cracking over the line. "She prays for you every night, Viv. Says you're lost." Letters from Elena arrived like poison arrows, first pleading, then cursing, finally silent. Vivian burned them one by one on the guest house patio, the flames dancing like defiant spirits. Willow watched, her own family a distant hum of support via emails from her liberal parents. "Bring her home if you want. We have space." But home for Vivian was fractured. She enrolled in night classes at a local art institute, her paintings shifting from serene landscapes to stormy abstracts, swirls of indigo and crimson evoking the ache of exile. Willow's semester ended, but she extended her stay, taking a job waitressing at a beachside chiringuito. Their love deepened, marked by small rituals. A shared cigarette at dawn, fingers intertwined, notes tucked into sketchbooks with doodles of intertwined hearts. It was romantic, yes, stolen kisses in olive groves, dances under starlit patios, but laced with drama, the ever-present fear that Elena's reach might find them. The first real conflict brewed when Willow's visa teetered on expiration. "Come to California with me," she urged one humid night, waves lapping like urgent pleas. Vivian hesitated, the pull of her roots a thorn in her side. "What about my art? My life here?" Willow's eyes, usually so steady, flickered with hurt. "Our life, Viv. This isn't just Spain. It's us." The argument simmered unresolved until a letter arrived. Not from Elena, but from Willow's past. An ex, a girl from college named Sophia, emailing about unresolved feelings, a trip to Europe that might clear the air. Willow deleted it, but the seed of doubt took root. Vivian pushed it down, focusing on a gallery show in Malaga. A chance to sell her work, prove she could stand alone. The night of the opening, she wore a simple black dress Willow had picked out, her hair loose and wild. The space buzzed with expats and locals, champagne flutes clinking like fragile promises. Willow was there, beaming, but her phone buzzed incessantly. Later, in the alley behind the gallery, Vivian overheard the call. Sophia's voice, tinny and insistent. "I miss you. This trip, it's fate." Willow's response was soft, evasive. "It's complicated now." Betrayal's first whisper. Vivian confronted her the next day over churros at a harborside cafe. "Do you still love her?" Willow's face crumpled. "It was before you. Before us." But the words hung heavy, a crack in their foundation. They reconciled with tears and promises, Willow booking a flight home to sort her visa, swearing she'd return in weeks. Vivian saw her off at the airport, their kiss salty with goodbye. "Write every day," Vivian whispered. Willow nodded, her backpack slung over one shoulder, the California sun already calling. Alone, the guest house echoed. Vivian painted furiously, canvases filling with fractured lovers against stormy seas. Letters from Willow came, postcards of palm trees, emails thick with "I love yous," and plans for a shared studio in San Diego. But delays mounted. Visa snarls, family pressures. Then silence. A week too. Panic clawed at Vivian's chest. She called, left messages in the void. Finally an email. "Viv, I can't. Sophia's here and it's easier. I'm sorry. You deserve someone who can stay." The world tilted. Vivian drove to Rhonda that night. Rain lashing the windshield like accusations. The villa loomed, lights warm in the windows. She knocked and Matteo answered, eyes wide. Elena appeared behind him, older, lines etched deeper, but her gaze softened at the sight of her daughter, rain-soaked, broken. "Mija," she breathed, pulling Vivian inside. No words of triumph, just arms that enveloped, A mother's forgiveness wrapped in the scent of lavender soap. They didn't speak of Willow that night. Vivian curled in her old bed, the betrayal a knife twist, but home. A flawed, aching home held her. Months blurred into a numb routine. Vivian threw herself into the family olive harvest, her hands stained green from the presses, her heart a quiet scar. Elena never uttered Willow's name, but gestures spoke volumes. Extra portions of tortilla española at dinner. A new set of paints left on Vivian's dresser like peace offerings. "The past is soil, Mija," Elena said one afternoon as they walked the groves, the sun filtering through leaves like stained glass. "It feeds what grows next." Vivian nodded, but inside resentment simmered, not just at Willow, but at the woman who'd cast her out. Forgiveness was a slow thaw, human and messy, laced with unspoken apologies. Mateo became her anchor, the 12-year-old bridging their worlds with boyish chatter and stolen sketches of his soccer dreams. "Draw me scoring the winning goal," he'd beg, and Vivian would, her lines capturing his lanky form mid-kick, the ball a comet. Through him, she glimpsed Elena's vulnerabilities, the widow's late-night rosaries, the faded photo of a young Elena with a woman whose arm linked too intimately around her waist. "Who was she, Mama?" Vivian asked one evening, the question slipping out like a loose thread. Elena's face tightened, then softened. "A mistake. One I paid for with silence." It was the first crack in the armor. A shared humanity that bound them tighter than blood alone. Vivian's art flourished in this uneasy peace. Her pieces, vibrant depictions of Rhonda's gorges, lovers etched in shadow and light, caught the eye of a gallery owner in Seville. Sales trickled in, enough for her to rent a small studio in town, a sunlit garret with views of the serrated mountains. She dated sporadically, a kind barista named Carla with gentle eyes, a poet from Madrid who quoted Neruda like scripture, but none ignited the fire Willow had. Love, she learned, was a drama of its own. Exhilarating highs, devastating lows, the quiet humanism of simply enduring. Then fate or irony intervened. A letter from California, postmarked San Diego, arrived like a ghost. Willow's handwriting, once so beloved, now a jolt. "I'm pregnant. It's Sophia's, but I think of you every day. If you ever want to talk." Vivian's hand shook as she read, the words blurring. Pregnant. The life they dreamed of, handed to another. Rage warred with pity. She burned the letter, but not before committing it to canvas. A swirling maelstrom of blues and golds, a unborn child adrift in waves of what-ifs. Elena found her there, charcoal smudged on her cheeks. "Another ghost?" she asked softly. Vivian nodded, the dam breaking. She poured it out, the love, the betrayal, the ache that lingered like sea fog. Elena listened, her own story unfolding in fragments. A lover named Isabella, exiled to Barcelona after their affair surfaced. A marriage to Vivian's father born of necessity. "I threw you out to save you from my pain," Elena confessed, tears carving paths down her weathered cheeks. "But love isn't a cage to fear. It's the key." They embraced then, mother and daughter, the villa's walls absorbing their sobs like ancient confidants. Healing came in waves. Vivian's work gained traction. A solo exhibit in Granada drew reviewers from Madrid, praising her raw emotional depth, a bridge between Spanish passion and universal longing. At the opening, amid clinking glasses and murmured accolades, she met Luca, a curator in his 30s with a disarming smile and a shared love for Goya's shadows. He was kind, steady, no drama, just quiet support. They courted slowly. Walks along the Alhambra's gardens, debates over tapas about art's role in mending fractured souls. Luca understood her queerness without question. His sister was a lesbian activist in Barcelona, fighting for rights in a Spain still shedding its conservative skin. But romance with Luca was a gentle current, not the storm of Willow. Vivian wondered if that was the point. Love as companion, not conqueror. They married in a civil ceremony on a crisp autumn day, the gorge below Rhonda swirling with mist like celebratory smoke. Elena walked her down the aisle, Mateo as ring-bearer, grinning ear to ear. "To new beginnings," Luca toasted, his hand warm in hers. Vivian smiled, but in quiet moments Willow's ghost lingered. A what-if etched in memory. 9 months later Isabella arrived, named for Elena's lost love. A nod to cycles unbroken. The birth was a whirlwind of joy and terror. Labor under fluorescent lights in Malaga's hospital, Elena gripping her hand, whispering prayers in Old Castilian. holding her daughter, tiny and fierce with a tuft of dark hair. Vivian felt the world's weight lift. Isabella's eyes, green like sea glass, seemed to hold ancient wisdom. "She's perfect," Luca murmured, kissing Vivian's forehead. In that sterile room with rain tapping the window like applause, Vivian vowed to give her what she'd craved. Unconditional love, roots that flexed, not bound. Motherhood reshaped her. Days blurred into feedings and lullabies, nights into fevered sketches of Isabella's sleeping face, chubby cheeks, lashes like raven feathers. Elena doted, baking polvorons and spinning tales of Spanish saints who defied odds. Luca balanced fatherhood with gallery travels, returning with trinkets from Bilbao or Valencia. A tiny flamenco dress, a book of fairy tales. The family villa buzzed with life again, laughter echoing where silence once reigned. Yet drama shadowed the idyll. Willow's letters persisted, sporadic, contrite. "Our daughter Lila asks about the sea. I tell her stories of Spain, of you." Vivian read them in secret, heart-twisting. Lila, Willow's child, a living echo. Jealousy flared, then faded into empathy. Willow's life, pieced from California's bright fragments, was no fairy tale. Sophia had left after the birth, citing irreconcilable wanderlust, leaving Willow to raise Lila alone in a cramped apartment near the beach. "I was wrong to leave," one letter ended. "Forgive me if you can." Vivian didn't reply, but the words burrowed. At Isabella's first birthday, surrounded by cousins and cake-smeared chaos, she caught Elena watching her with that knowing gaze. "Some wounds scar beautifully," her mother said later, as they washed dishes side by side. "They remind us we're alive." Vivian nodded, the water warm on her hands, the scent of soap mingling with jasmine from the garden. Human connections were threads in a vast tapestry, frayed, rewoven, stronger for the pulls. As Isabella grew, toddler tantrums giving way to curious questions, Vivian balanced studio time with motherhood's demands. Her art evolved, portraits of women in quiet rebellion, mothers cradling daughters under olive boughs, lovers parted by oceans yet linked by invisible lines. A major commission came from a New York gallery, Echoes of Exile, featuring her story in paint. Luca beamed with pride. Elena framed the catalog on the mantel. But conflict brewed anew when Isabella, at 4, asked about the other grandma. Elena had become abuela, her hugs fierce and frequent, but the question unearthed old graves. "Why don't we visit Tia Willow?" Isabella pressed one evening, her green eyes, those inherited echoes, wide with innocence. Vivian froze, Luca's hand squeezing hers under the table. The betrayal's sting resurfaced, sharp as fresh salt. "Someday, mi amor," she promised, but sleep evaded her that night, dreams tangled with coastal drives and slamming doors. The climax shattered on a sweltering summer day 3 years later. Isabella, 7 now, lanky and artistic like her mother, had taken to drawing fantastical maps of hidden coves, secret paths to America. One afternoon, while Vivian prepped for a Seville show, Isabella vanished from the villa garden. Panic clawed. Calls to neighbors, searches through the groves. Elena's face paled. Memories of her own losses surfacing. Luca raced home from the city, sirens wailing in Vivian's mind. They found her hours later at the old market where it all began, sitting with a sketchpad drawing figs under a fig tree. But she wasn't alone. Willow stood there, older, her blonde hair streaked with silver, lines of fatigue around her once youthful eyes. Beside her, a girl, Lila, 9, with Willow's freckles and a shy smile, held Isabella's hand, their heads bent over shared crayons. "I came to see the sea," Willow said simply when Vivian approached, her voice a ghost from the past. "And to say I'm sorry. Properly." The air thickened, drama unfolding in the market's hum. Shoppers milled oblivious, but for Vivian time fractured. "After all this time," she whispered, anger and ache colliding. Willow nodded, tears brimming. "Lila's been asking about her Spanish auntie from my stories. I couldn't lie anymore." Isabella looked up, confused. "This is your friend from the pictures, Mama?" Vivian's throat closed. Betrayal's echo met this raw vulnerability. Luca arrived then, pulling Isabella into a hug, his calm a lifeline. Elena, trailing behind, stopped short at the sight of Willow. Recognition flickering. A shared history unspoken. The women faced off amid the fruit stalls, words tumbling like overripe peaches. Accusations from Vivian, pleas from Willow, the weight of years. You broke me, Vivian said, voice cracking. Willow reached out, then dropped her hand. I broke myself more. But look at them, our girls. They deserve better than our ghosts. In that moment, under the relentless Spanish sun, something shifted. Lila tugged Willow's sleeve. Can we draw the bridge now? Isabella echoed. The big one with the wind. The children, innocent architects, bridged the chasm. Vivian exhaled, the conflict ebbing into weary humanism. Not today, she said finally. But maybe. Coffee. Tomorrow. Willow's smile was tentative, grateful. A crack of light in the drama. Coffee turned into tentative bridges. The next morning at a quiet cafe overlooking Rhonda's gorge, Vivian and Willow sat across scarred wooden tables, steam rising from espressos like fragile truces. Luca stayed home with the girls, giving space for this reckoning. His quiet strength a constant in Vivian's evolving story. Elena hovered nearby, ostensibly shopping, but her presence was a watchful guardian, ready to intervene or embrace. Words flowed haltingly at first. Willow's life post-betrayal, a mosaic of single motherhood and freelance writing gigs. Children's books about brave girls chasing horizons, ironic echoes of their youth. Lila's got your fire, she said, showing a photo on her phone. The girl mid-laugh on a San Diego pier, wind whipping her curls. Vivian traced the screen, a pang for the family that might have been. Isabella asks about stars, she replied. Says she wants to map them all. Laughter broke the tension, small but real. A reminder that romance's ruins could sprout unlikely friendships. Betrayal's autopsy was gentler than expected. I ran because I was scared, Willow admitted, stirring sugar she didn't take. My family pushed. Settle down, be normal. And Sophia was the easy path. But you were the truth I wasn't ready for. Vivian nodded, the old wound scabbing over. And I stayed because running felt like defeat. But Mama, she taught me grace. They spoke of Elena then, Willow's eyes widening at the parallels. Isabella's namesake, the buried loves that shaped them. Your mother's stronger than she knows, Willow said. Like you. The girls' integration was pure magic laced with awkwardness. Isabella and Lila bonded over art supplies in Vivian's studio. Their drawings a riot of colors. Hybrid maps of Spain and California. Bridges spanning imagined seas. This is where the olives meet the oranges, Lila declared, glue stick in hand. Isabella giggled, adding a sun with fierce rays. Watching them, Vivian felt the drama soften into something profoundly human. These children, products of fractured paths, weaving wholeness from whimsy. Luca embraced it all with characteristic poise, hosting barbecues where American hot dogs mingled with Spanish chorizo, stories swapped like currency. To unexpected chapters, he toasted one evening, clinking bottles on the villa patio. Willow, more at ease, shared readings from her latest book. A tale of two friends separated by storms, reunited under clearer skies. The romance had faded, transmuted into a deeper affection. Respect for survival, admiration for growth. But conflict simmered beneath. Elena's wariness peaked when Willow suggested an extended stay. Lila's school break aligning with a writing retreat in Granada. She's not here to steal you back, Elena confided to Vivian one night. Stars pricking the sky like accusations. But trust. It's earned slow. Vivian understood. Her mother's history mirrored the caution. Yet pushing back, she said, Love taught me to risk, Mama. Even the platonic kind. Elena sighed, a reluctant smile forming. Then watch your heart, Mija. It's been bruised enough. The retreat was a revelation. The five of them, Vivian, Luca, Elena, Willow, and the girls, piled into Luca's van, winding through olive-draped roads to a hilltop finca outside Granada. Days blurred into workshops and wanderings. Mornings with Willow leading writing circles, her voice steady as she prompted tales of lost and found. Afternoons hiking the Alpujarras trails, Isabella collecting wild thyme while Lila chased butterflies. Evenings around a fire pit, guitars strumming flamenco riffs, stories unfolding like petals. Drama crested on the third night, under a canopy of ancient chestnuts. Wine loosened tongues. Elena, emboldened by Rioja, shared her full story. Isabella's touch, the societal blade that severed it, the marriage that patched but never healed. I saw myself in you, Vivian, she said, voice thick. That's why I pushed so hard. To spare you my regret. Tears flowed freely, the fire crackling like punctuation. Willow opposite met Vivian's eyes across the flames, a silent nod of shared scars. Lila, half asleep on Willow's lap, murmured, "Abuela Elena, tell the saint's story again." Elena obliged, her tale of San Teresa, defiant nun, lover of words and God, twisting into a metaphor for them all. Isabella, nestled against Vivian, whispered, "Did the saints love girls too?" The question hung, profound in its innocence. Vivian's heart swelled. Here was the humanism she'd craved. Love not as taboo but tapestry, threads of queer joy woven into family lore. Yet betrayal's shadow lingered in subtler forms. Luca, ever perceptive, pulled Vivian aside during a solo walk through almond blossoms. "This feels right," he said. "But are you sure? Willow's presence. It's stirring things." Vivian paused, the air heavy with pollen. Honesty surged. "Not romance. Closure. Like painting over a canvas, the old lines show but the new picture emerges." He kissed her temple, relief in his exhale. "Then let's frame it beautifully." Back in Rhonda, the visit's afterglow faded into emails and video calls. Lila and Isabella plotting sister adventures. Willow pitching collaborations on a graphic novel blending their arts. Vivian's career soared. Echoes toured to Barcelona, then Lisbon, critics hailing her emotional authenticity, a lesbian lens on Mediterranean soul. Elena, inspired, took up watercolors, her first piece a tentative portrait of two women dancing in fog, Isabella and her ghost. Climax brewed unexpectedly via a village festival, the Feria de Ronda, with its parades and burlesque runs, a nod to modern sensitivities. Willow and Lila returned for it, surprise guests at Vivian's invitation. The town square thrummed. Casetas alive with Belarius dresses swirling like flames. Isabella, in a polka-dot flamenco skirt, pulled Lila into the dance circle, their steps clumsy but joyous. Vivian watched from the sidelines, sketchbook in hand, capturing the whirl, until Elena approached Willow, glass of manzanilla in hand. "You're welcome here," Elena said, the words a bridge long overdue. Willow's face crumpled. "I never thought." But Elena cut in fierce. "You hurt my daughter. But you gave her strength to love again. For that, gracias." They clinked glasses, the moment electric. A maternal absolution, drama resolving in quiet grace. As fireworks bloomed over the gorge, painting the night in sapphire bursts, Vivian joined them. Luca swung Isabella high, laughter pealing. Lila linked arms with Matteo, now a gangly teen with his own sketches. The group formed a loose circle, hands touching shoulders, a human chain against the past's winds. Romance's embers had cooled, but the warmth endured. Friendships forged in fire, families expanded by forgiveness. Yet, in the festival's frenzy, a smaller betrayal surfaced. Not malice but misunderstanding. Lila, overhearing village gossips whisper about the American who broke hearts, confronted Willow tearfully that night in the guest house. "Did you leave Aunt Vivian because of me?" Willow knelt, honest as dawn. "No, mi cielo. I left because I was young and foolish. But coming back, that's for you, and for healing what I broke." The girl's hug was fierce, a child's unfiltered love mending adult fractures. Vivian, eavesdropping from the hall, felt tears prick. This was the story's heart. Not grand gestures, but the messy emotional work of reconciliation. As the girls slept, she and Willow stepped onto the balcony, the gorge a black velvet ribbon below. "Thank you," Vivian said. Willow smiled, stars reflecting in her eyes. "For what?" "For showing up. Late but here." They leaned on the rail, shoulders brushing. Not lovers but survivors, bound by the profound romance of second chances. Years folded like well-loved pages. Isabella turned 10, her maps evolving into intricate murals on the villa walls. Continents bridged by rainbows, oceans teeming with mythical creatures. Lila visited biannually, her stays lengthening into summer immersions. Surfing lessons on Costa del Sol beaches, co-authoring stories with Willow that Vivian illustrated. The girls dubbed themselves Las Hermanas del Mar, sisters of the sea, their bond a living rebuttal to old divisions. Vivian's life bloomed in layers. The graphic novel with Willow, Bridges Over Blue, became a quiet hit, translated into Spanish, English, even Catalan, celebrating queer resilience through whimsical voyages. Critics called it a humanistic ode to chosen families, and readings drew crowds. School kids in Granada, expat book clubs in Malaga. Luca's gallery expanded, specializing in Iberian queer artists, his support unwavering as Vivian navigated fame's spotlight. "You're the light," he'd say, pulling her into bed after late events, his touch a anchor in the whirl. Elena transformed most profoundly. Her watercolors gained confidence, exhibited locally alongside Vivian's. Mother-daughter shows titled, Races Why Alas, Roots and Wings. The irony wasn't lost. The woman who'd clipped wings now painted them soaring. She even attended a pride march in Seville, arm in arm with Vivian. Her rainbow shawl a bold declaration at 65. "For Isabella," she said. "And for the girl I lost." Isabella, for Elena's Isabella, the lover reclaimed in memory, became the family's talisman, her name invoked in toasts and tales. Drama, ever the uninvited guest. Revisited in subtler guises. Willow's health scare. A bout of pneumonia from overwork. Rattled them all. Video calls from San Diego showed her pale. Lila's voice steady but strained. Mom needs her Spanish family. Vivian flew over, Luca minding the fort. Landing in a city of palm-shaded streets and taco trucks that felt both alien and achingly familiar. Willow's apartment overlooked the bay, cluttered with manuscripts and Lila's drawings. "You came," Willow whispered from her sickbed. For drip beeping softly. Vivian took her hand, the years dissolving. Families show up. The visit stretched to weeks. Soup simmered on Willow's stove, stories swapped over herbal teas, Lila blooming under Vivian's guidance. Learning charcoal techniques, her lines echoing her mother's fire. Betrayal's ghost whispered doubts. What if this rekindles old flames? But Vivian silenced it with truth. This was love evolved, platonic and profound, a romance of the soul. Willow recovered, her eyes brighter. "I owe you," she said on the eve of departure. Vivian shook her head. "We owe each other." Balance restored. Back in Spain, Isabella's questions deepened. At 12, she pored over family albums, piecing the puzzle. "Why did Abuela throw you out, Mama? And why does Tia Willow look sad in the old photos?" Vivian sat her down on the patio, sunset gilding the olives. No sugarcoating. The love, the rejection, the healing. Isabella listened, chin on knees, then hugged her fierce. "I'm glad you fought. Makes me braver." That night she drew a family tree. Not linear, but a web, branches looping back, inclusive and infinite. The true climax unfolded on Isabella's 18th birthday. A milestone laced with echoes. Rhonda shimmered under June heat, the villa transformed. Lanterns strung like stars, tables groaning with paella and empanadas. Guests mingled, Luca's art crowd, Mateo's soccer teammates, Elena's painting circle. Willow and Lila arrived from California. Lila now a poised teen studying marine biology, her surfboard slung like a trophy. The party swirled with joy. Dances to Conchita Picker records, toasts to futures bright. But as dusk fell, Isabella pulled Vivian aside, green eyes solemn. "I want to honor the story," she said, handing over a wrapped canvas, her own work, a triptych. Vivian young and rain-soaked at the door. Willow and the Fiat in shadows. Now the family reunited under the bridge, figures linked in luminous embrace. For the woman who loved first. And the one who forgave. Tears blurred Vivian's vision. "It's beautiful, mi amor." Isabella grinned, mischief in her smile. "Wait, there's more." She led her to the terrace where the group gathered. Elena stood at the center, older now, silver threading her hair, but regal in an embroidered shawl. Willow flanked her, Lila at her side. "Abuela," Isabella said, voice steady. "You hurt Mama once, but you've loved us all since. This is for you." She opened her arms and Elena, stoic Elena, stepped forward, enveloping her granddaughter in a hug that trembled with release. The terrace hushed, then erupted in cheers, the gorge below seeming to sigh in approval. Vivian watched, heart full. Here was the humanism she chased through storms, the betrayal transmuted to embrace, pain alchemized into profound connection. Willow caught her eye, nodding, a silent "we did this." Luca slipped an arm around Vivian's waist. "Our girl's a force." She leaned into him, gratitude swelling. Romance had been the spark, drama the forge, emotion the fuel. But this family, flawed and fierce, was the enduring flame. As night deepened, fireworks traced the sky, mirroring the inner bursts. Isabella danced with Lila, their laughter a melody. Elena and Willow shared a bench, heads bent in quiet conversation. Old wounds, new wisdoms. Mateo strummed guitar, pulling Vivian into a spin. In that moment, under Rhonda's eternal gaze, Vivian felt whole. Thrown out for loving a girl, she built a world from the fragments. A love that endured, not in passion's blaze, but in the steady glow of forgiveness. Years later, when Vivian's hair silvered and her hands slowed on the canvas, she'd recount the tale to great-grandchildren clustered at her feet, omitting the raw edges, emphasizing the heart. Love isn't always easy, she'd say, eyes twinkling, but it's always worth the fight. And sometimes the best hugs come from the hardest goodbyes. The end? No, life stories loop, eternal as the Mediterranean's tide. But for Vivian Reyes it was a beginning. Thrown out, yes, but never truly lost. Hugged back into the fold by blood and choice under the wide Spanish sky.